California is a garden of Eden, a paradise to live in or see. But believe it or not, you won't find it so hot if you ain't got the do-re-mi.
On October 7, 2010, 99 days into the state budget crisis, a group of ordinary citizens from Eureka, California, a town of 25,000 in the far northwest corner of the state, gathered to talk about why we have a budget crisis and what we can do to fix it.
You ain't got the do-re-mi, boys. You ain't got the
Part of the problem is financial. There's just not enough money coming in to pay for all the things we want the state to keep on doing. This year, we were almost $19 billion short. If you think of the general fund as a great big pie, the largest blue slice represents personal income taxes. The next largest yellow slice represents sales tax, and the third largest slice represents corporate taxes.
'Cause I look through the want ads every day, but the headlines on the papers always say, if you ain't got the do-re-mi.
Less do-re-mi for you and me means less personal income tax revenue going into the general fund. Corporations are also paying less, partly because the recession has lowered their profits, but also because tax cuts over the last 3 decades have decreased the proportion of the profit they do make that they owe in taxes by almost half. Tax cuts enacted in good years are now costing tens of billions of dollars in lost revenue. The legislature even creates new cuts in bad years because tax breaks for special interests have become political bargaining chips in our dysfunctional budget process. Even this year, when we laid off elementary teachers and cut home care for the disabled, the final budget included new corporate tax breaks. The worst part is that it only takes a simple majority to enact a tax cut, but it takes a 2/3 majority to undo it.
Don't swap your old cow for a car. You better stay right where you are. You better take this little...
When times are hard, we buy less stuff. And if we shop on the internet, the sales tax often goes to another state. The shift in our state's economic base from production jobs to service jobs means we produce less things to sell. All of these things decrease the amount of sales tax going into our general fund.
Getting out of that old dust bowl, they think they're going to a sugar bowl, but here's what they find.
The other side of the equation is rising costs, and health care is a major contributor. Through programs for the disabled and uninsured, prison health, and health insurance for state employees and retirees, our state government pays for the health care of 9.5 million people, which is 1 out of 4 state residents. With California's baby boomers getting older, there is increased utilization of health services. The prison population is also aging, leading to significant medical expenses. With the poor economy, more people are turning to state programs like Medi-Cal, and health insurance premiums for state employees and retirees are rising 5 times faster than wages. Taken together, these costs make health care the single largest and fastest growing expense for states all across the country. California's state spending on health care rose 136% in the last decade and is expected to double in the next 10 years. National health reform will not do much to bend the cost curve, especially in California, where a few giant insurance companies have a near monopoly. Half of the uninsured who gain coverage through national health reform in California will be enrolled in Medi-Cal, and while the federal government pays most of the cost, California's share will add up to several $billions a year. But falling tax revenue and rising expenses account for only about half of the budget shortfall. The largest single cause is the failure of the legislature to come up with real solutions in prior years. Budget cuts which ignore the state's legal obligations and are stopped by the courts, unrealistic projections of tax revenue and federal dollars which don't materialize, and borrowing money which must be repaid only fixes the problem on paper and makes things worse in future